Hi
Hi
guys.
guys.
Hey folks, I'm Tina Hui and we are here at CES 2015 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. Look at Vegas is right behind us. And this is Harry Yeh of Binary Financial. Please introduce yourself, Harry.
Hi Tina, how are you? Thanks for having me on Follow the Coin. Great to see you here in Vegas. So my name is Harry Yeh. I'm the managing partner of Binary Financial. We're a US-based hedge fund and we primarily focus on large block trades for high net worth clients and institutions. And we're actually here at CES supporting a lot of our clients that are actually here at the show.
So who are your clients in an ideal
I mean, we deal with, without naming specifics, we deal with a lot of the bigger players in the space. We help broker coins and we help them buy and sell. And that's pretty much what we do. And we trade. We do a lot of trading as well. We do a lot of electronic market making, proprietary trading.
So is it mostly Bitcoin based?
We're focused primarily only on Bitcoin right now, though we have touched some of the other currencies such as Ripple, Stellar, and Litecoin. So those are pretty much the only cryptocurrencies we really deal with. We don't really deal with anything else.
So, well, what's it been like trading wise in the market right now?
Well, trading wise, for us, our fund is actually relatively unique because a lot of our big business is coming from brokering and trading and electronic market making. We make money whenever there's a lot more volatility. So there's been a lot of volatility in the last month.
And a lot of price drops.
A lot of price drops. So for us, it's actually when the price is sideways, that's typically when it's the slowest for us. But the last, like December, we had, there's a one day where we traded in excess of about 21,000 Bitcoins in a single day.
21,000 Bitcoins in a single day.
In a single day, yes.
Are you guys the bear whale?
We're not the bear whale, but when the bear whale was there, we did take some bites at the bear whale because it's a great opportunity to actually buy Bitcoins at a spot price.
Well, I mean, what would you advise people in this, level of price at the moment?
I think it's very, very important to look at Bitcoin longer term. If you're not a day trader or you're not a short-term trader and you're an investor, it's very, very important to think of kind of the long-term viability of Bitcoin, the blockchain technology, versus just looking at the actual price every single day. So for us, we're different. We have different trading time frames. We'll trade. Sometimes our trades are as fast as like 5 seconds. Then there's 30 seconds, 1 minute trades, an hour, days. So it really, really depends on your time frame. So investors typically are buy and hold for the longer term. So I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, it's still up about 10 times from previous 2013. So it's still up quite a bit. And I think right now you're just seeing a lot of panic selling earlier at the end of the year. There's some tax loss selling, and then what happens is key technical levels get hit sometimes. So people sometimes watch those technical levels and stops get hit, and then it causes the price to drop. But what we've always noticed with Bitcoin is that the price always tends to overshoot. So anytime there's a big correction, there's also a big bounce. So it's important to kind of realize that if you're trading, if you're just buying Bitcoin for the longer term, don't worry so much about the price kind of when you get in, because if it hits a certain amount, you're not going to worry what you really paid for it.
Right.
That's what we tell people.
So there's a lot of discussion always about currency or commodity,
Right.
with Bitcoin. So where do you see people kind of viewing that, and you yourself?
See, it's very, very unique because, so actually a funny thing actually happened when I was actually at the Bitcoin Bowl sponsored by BitPay. The first app I actually used was Airbits to actually spend Bitcoin, and a lot of my friends before have actually been telling me, you trade such large amounts of Bitcoin, but you don't actually spend it. But it's one of those unique asset classes where it's more of a commodity, but it has the attributes of a currency. So you could actually use it as a currency, but it's also a great store of value. It's a great commodity.
So can you speculate on the price right now? Because a lot of people ask me all the time, why is price so low? So what do you think is causing the price?
I think what's happening this year is, first off, well, let's go back to 2014. I think it's important to kind of look at the past events of the last year to really kind of see why the price is where it's at. So 2014 wasn't really a good start. You had the Mt. Gox issue first, but actually even before that, China. So China set up the regulatory, and that spooked a lot of investors. I mean, some of our hedge fund clients wanted to get out right away at the very, very top when they heard about the China news because there's a lot of uncertainty. Then the Mt. Gox thing happened. And that just kind of set the stage for a whole bunch of things. Also, regulatory uncertainty. A lot of these created a lot of selling pressure on the market. And then on top of that, you've also got payment processors and miners. They've got no effective way to actually hedge Bitcoin, which means that if I'm taking in Bitcoin as payments and my clients want US dollar right away, they have to convert to cash. So what that happens is it creates a lot of selling pressure.
Right.
And we think that there's a lot more selling pressure on the market right now than there is buying. So that's actually what's causing a lot of the selling. So we believe next year and this year, the big thing that's really going to help Bitcoin is two things. Number one, is going to be clarity and regulation.
Right.
And number two is going to be derivatives and futures. Like this market is very exciting to see it being developed, on OKCoin, on LedgerX, Terra Exchange, all of these exchanges, BitMEX, all of these exchanges are actually working on a derivatives platform to actually allow people to hedge their bets with Bitcoin. So what that will allow miners and merchant and payment processors to do is actually hold on to the Bitcoin rather than having to sell it right away.
Right.
And that's one of our views of why that helps stabilize Bitcoin price.
I think from, if you're taking a look at, price and such, I think it's interesting to ask people who are actually trading all the time, like you are. I mean, do you trade daily?
I mean, we're very unique. We're probably the only fund and broker that trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, we trade all the time.
Right.
All of us, yeah.
I know, 24 hours, 7 days a week is a big undertaking.
It is.
Hours.
Yeah, I think in this, like for people, they got to understand that Bitcoin is an asset that trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we also designed our business to kind of fit the commodity and the kind of customers that are actually dealing with Bitcoin. I mean, you don't get to choose. It's not like the stock market and commodity market. You don't get to choose when the price of Bitcoin is going to go up. I mean, some of the biggest moves happen at 3 or 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Right.
So I would say actually a lot more volume happens during that time. So we're more active, I would say. We're actually active throughout like the big parts of the day. Usually.
Do you think it's actually because, I mean, when people take a look at, blockchain data, it looks like Asia has a lot of that,
China is definitely a huge market.
Right.
I mean, I think the biggest difference between China and the U.S. market is that a lot of investors in China are a lot more sophisticated, like at the retail level. Like they will actually invest, like the mother and father that owns that corner grocery store or their own restaurant. They'll actually speculate on stocks and they'll buy the asset themselves.
Right. My grandma is now like a really great stock trader, turns out.
So I think in Asia, that's the big difference is that retail trading is huge. That's why exchanges in Asia, such as OKCoin, they do very, very well in Asia.
So, I mean, isn't it true also people are always talking about Bitcoin? And so is it healthier for people to take a look at it sort of like stock day trading or versus like something like foreign exchange trading? What's it more
It's
like?
probably more like FX trading because you're trading against a currency pair.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I've said. I'm like, I have to double check with the expert.
Yeah, no, it's actually, I would say it's not a stock because it's not an equity. It's not owned by any company. There's no earnings reports.
So for folks who are like completely new to Bitcoin, right?
Right.
How would you advise them to kind of invest or take a look into Bitcoin?
I would definitely recommend the first thing you do is do a bit of research online. I've also got a couple of talks coming up about an introduction to trading Bitcoin. I think in Miami, I'm slotted to make a talk about introduction to actually trading Bitcoin.
We'll be there. We'll have to get you on the show again, and then afterwards you have to tell me what the key points were.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the, I started off trading, really just trading stocks, options, and commodities. And I think a lot of the information that you actually learn from trading those assets themselves versus trading Bitcoin. I mean, the one thing everything has in common is price, and price is the most important thing. So you're just talking about if you're able to trade currencies, options, and commodities, switching over to Bitcoin isn't terribly difficult, except that Bitcoin's a lot more volatile. So I actually believe that if you know how to trade Bitcoin and you trade it very, very well, it makes you a better trader in other different asset classes. So whenever I teach the introduction to trading Bitcoin, those are a lot of the skills that you can actually apply over to different asset classes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So with Binary Financial, how did you guys begin, taking a look at Bitcoin? Why Bitcoin? Why is that interesting for you guys?
So we started off really at the beginning of 2014. Our hedge fund was officially started at the beginning of January 2014. And prior to doing that, I was really just doing a lot of arbitrage and brokering trading by myself. And two of my partners, they're Silicon Valley venture capitalists. They've had investments such as Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Tinder, 3D Robotics, Basis, all really, really successful companies. But personally, they didn't have they've been looking at cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but they just couldn't either invest in it through their funds, or it was just too difficult of an investment, too much time to monitor for themselves. And these are very, very dear friends of ours. And they saw that I was trading Bitcoin, and they thought it was a good opportunity to actually start a fund that just focuses on brokering, because there was a huge demand in the market for high net worth clients and institutions to actually buy Bitcoin.
Right.
So we wanted to create this trusted broker brand that everybody can come to.
Trust is always important, especially in Bitcoin.
It's actually, I think, probably the most important thing. If people talk about a decentralized trust, peer-to-peer trust, but at the end of the day, if you're giving somebody $1 million to $2 million, you better be able to trust them with that money.
Right. No, 100%.
Yeah.
I think this is what's hard about the industry right now is, the bad actors are still in existence.
Yes.
And so how do you see the industry maturing in 2015?
I think what you're going to see, for us as a fund and as a broker, we do some very, very standard things in terms of getting to know your customer. The KYC, AML, we take it to a completely different level. Know your customer means exactly that. You really got to know your customer. Everybody that we deal with in Binary, we know by a first name basis. We know the company. We've done checks, reference checks, just to make sure that
you are who you say
they are who they say they are.
You can't just disappear with them.
You can't. It's not even just disappear with the money. It's just we do not want to be associated with anything that even has anything remotely to do with anything illegal.
Well, and Coinbase is now making that move as well.
Yeah.
They're sitting here saying,
I think it's very important because we're trying to build a very, very sustainable ecosystem with Bitcoin, and we want to be known as the people that transact in the honest way and are a trusted brand. That's really, really, we're more focused on the long-term picture of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just a really, really big beginning for us.
So it's been interesting because I meet a bunch of folks for Bitcoin.
Sure.
And there's far anarchists like, no, I want everything to be decentralized and all of that. Then there's, of course, people who are, kind of backgrounds are in Silicon Valley, backgrounds are in tech, backgrounds are in finance. And it's like the regulation is occurring now with BitLicense.
Yes.
And so it's interesting to see what the differences are.
Sure.
I think ultimately it is money, it is a currency, so it's kind of unavoidable that we have to get with the program, run your business the right way.
I think at the end of the day, we're very, very neutral when it comes to regulation. We obviously, we prefer less regulation, but we think regulations also gives a little bit of clarity. We're in the business of making money and providing good service to our clients, and we want to do things the right way. We want to be the trusted brand, so we like to play by the rules. So I think you're always going to have people that they just have a distrust for government just because they've had a bad experience with it.
So what is a hedge fund?
Okay, a hedge fund is a investment vehicle that has the ability to go long and short and also hedge, such as buying options and derivatives, where a traditional mutual fund can only go long. And also hedge funds are typically only available to high net worth individuals, so you have to be an accredited investor to actually invest in a hedge fund. And to invest in ours, we have pretty stringent requirements. Has to be very, very well-known client and investor.
So, a lot of investors are in the space, and they're making some really big bets. We noticed it last year as well.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different because we're a hedge fund, which we trade the actual underlying asset of Bitcoin, whereas a lot of the investment you see, they invest into companies. So it's interesting because at the conferences, we're really, really the only hedge fund that attends the conferences.
There's a lot of investments in space. So what is unique about Binary Financial and folks that you guys interact with all the time?
Yeah, so if you notice at most of the conferences that we attend, we're really kind of the only hedge fund that goes to the conferences. The big difference between us and a lot of the other funds or even venture capitalists that go to these conferences is that we're a hedge fund that focuses on more trading the underlying asset. We made one equity investment this year, and that was in Bitfury. But we traditionally only trade the underlying asset of Bitcoin. Whereas the venture capitalists, they'll invest in the actual companies that are building technology on top of the blockchain and are moving Bitcoin. So they might invest in an exchange, but they won't actually invest in Bitcoin directly because their mandate actually doesn't allow them to buy assets or commodities. So that's pretty much the unique thing. And it's interesting because some of our other colleagues and friends at these conferences, when they go up on a panel and people ask them about price, they're like, you know what, we're not concerned with the price. And then when the question comes to me, it's like, what do you think of the price? I'm like, that's the only thing we care about is the price.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. You have to figure out what's interesting for folks because I think the problem is if the price keeps dropping, that's all mainstream media focuses on.
So
right?
I think what people have to understand, the valuation of Bitcoin companies, a lot of it is tied directly to the value of Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin price is almost like a canary in the coal mine.
Right.
So if the Bitcoin price isn't doing well, it's not like the whole industry is suffering, but it's just it becomes tougher for investment capital or people to really want to buy into the companies because they either believe in the blockchain or they believe in Bitcoin or they believe in both. So it's one of those things that the price is very very important because if a company's invested, let's just say a company, there's a startup company that has part of their capital in Bitcoin. Well, if the price of Bitcoin goes through the roof, and that company holds Bitcoin, their valuation and what they're actually working on in the space will increase in proportion to Bitcoin. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Right. No, I mean, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
If somebody was invested in, like, say somebody was being invested in back in November, right? Now you're like, oh, I put in so much more because I valued
Sure.
you at a higher price. So.
Sure, it's possible that actually happens, but Bitcoin's still in a very, very nascent stage of the game. So I would say we're kind of in like the 1995 stage of the internet. So we're not even at the bottom of like the second inning right now. And I think this year, 2015, you're going to see a lot of exciting developments happen
I agree.
with the price. I mean, it's just a lot more mature. I mean, at the beginning of 2013, 2014, you really only had a handful of exchanges. Not even a handful, I think 3 exchanges that you could really trade on. Now you've got 6 to 7 different exchanges that you can trade on. And there's some pretty big players. Bigger money is coming into the space right now. I mean, I can tell you right now, a lot more people are coming out of the woodwork and buying. Like a lot of the bigger buyers are buying because they see this as a buying opportunity.
Right, get in early because we're
It's not
here
even
to
get in
stay.
early. It's just, people always talk about, I wish the price was lower. I would buy when it's lower. Here's your chance to buy.
Right.
Right?
I mean, even I bought a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we have more buyers now than sellers. I mean, like a lot of people are selling. A lot of it's just panic selling, or you have merchants selling or miners selling.
So for folks kind of entering this space or
Sure.
just looking around to trade,
Mm-hmm.
trust is a big issue. There's a lot
Sure.
of scams. There's Mt. Gox. There's fear. So how could somebody actually kind of take a look and say, okay, this company is legitimate. I want to go with them.
Sure. So in some of our trading talks, we actually list a bunch of exchanges. I actually really recommend, it really depends on the amount you're actually buying. If you're buying 1 or 2 Bitcoin, you can go to Circle or Coinbase or Zappo. Those places work pretty well. If you're talking about just being a more sophisticated trader and you really want to just kind of trade your own account, similar to using interactive brokers for stocks and options, you can use Bitstamp, you can use OKCoin. These are like really really good exchanges that you can actually use. And then if you're looking at really really high block sizes, typically $100,000 or above, then you can contact us.
Very good. Well, no,
Yeah.
because people ask me all the time, where
Sure.
would you? And I'm going, to be truthful, I don't
Yeah.
actually really know. And then it is funny.
It really depends on the amount you want to buy. I mean, if somebody wants to buy $2 million worth of Bitcoin, what we specialize is we can do that without moving the market.
So do most of your clients day trade, or is it more like, do you see long-term investment?
All our clients are long-term buyers and holders, but we have payment processors and miners and traders. So it really, really depends. I mean, we buy and sell all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's impressive.
Well,
So
our goal is really just number one is provide the best price, the best service, and increasing trading volume and liquidity for the market. That's our number one goal right now, and we find that just by brokering deals for high net worth clients and institutions, it allows us to really do that, and it works really, really well with our market making and our proprietary trading.
It's so awesome. At CES, I think it's been fascinating to me to realize that a lot of interesting, smart entrepreneurs are entering the space.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of interesting investors are coming on board.
Yeah, a lot of people, even from Wall Street, they're really kind of moving into this space. They find that it's a lot more interesting. Traditional banking jobs, it's just not as exciting. And then this is the hottest sector in the technology space. I mean, I was a CTO and engineer and tech entrepreneur myself, and this is something that I think it's truly a once in a lifetime opportunity, not just in terms of investing in Bitcoin, but even the opportunity itself in technology.
Right. Well, and it's exciting if you think about it. Financial, sector.
It's fintech.
Fintech. Fintech has never actually been
disrupted
ever, and
no.
it's
the single biggest thing I think to actually happen since the internet. Google and Facebook, these things are actually very, very big, but we think cryptocurrency, it touches everybody even more than that.
Yeah, fintech is starting to really bleed in. I mean, PayPal's involved. So when do you think major credit cards might join in?
I think they're going to be complementary. I mean, Bitcoin and blockchain is really kind of the start of a revolution of technology. Decentralized applications, blockchain technology, smart contracts. I mean, the sky's really, really the limit. Right now, it's a decentralized consensus model, so you don't have any centralized, consensus where one party controls all of the information. It's got to be like a network consensus. I think that's really the true innovation behind Bitcoin and the blockchain. This is why it works so well.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then what's exciting for you in 2015 and beyond? What would you like to see happen?
We're just going to continue to focus on what we do really, really well, and what we believe we're really the best at is relationships. And this is why we come out to CES. We're not a consumer company, but a lot of our clients are consumer facing. So we're here to support our clients, meet with our clients, make sure to kind of support them, here at the show. And it's good. It's a good chance to see some friends, come to Vegas.
It's the same thing I do. It's all relationships.
Yeah,
I
our
love
business is really,
helping
really
the
all.
community.
Yeah, our business is all relationship based. That's why you see us at all the conferences and we speak, because we really, aside from dealing with our clients, we really, really support the Bitcoin community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like Bitcoin, we're huge about community. I think that is the one key thing about Bitcoin is the community. It's so
we
strong.
love the community. I think that's the part that we love about Bitcoin the most, is aside from just being a very, very disruptive technology, just the people. There's so many of us that we see at all the conferences. It's almost like a family.
Right. I mean, we're all becoming really good friends, I think.
Yeah, very good friends.
We're always on the road and traveling.
We're always
working
on the road. Yeah, some of the other conference speakers, we see them more than we see some of our friends, and we see them in every city. So it's.
I'm getting to the point where I actually tell my friends, I'm like, well, the thing is, in Bitcoin, nobody sleeps because it's money. You're like, it's all day long. 24/7.
Yeah, it's all day long. I mean, after this interview, I can crack open my laptop and do some trades. I mean, I love it because it gives a lot of freedom. For a trader, this is almost like the dream commodity to trade, because first off, it's got a lot of volatility. It moves. And two, you can do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So you enjoy trading?
I love trading. I mean, if actually at a conference, I tell people if I'm not trading, I'm either sleeping or I'm on a plane or I'm giving interviews.
Right, you always are doing one of those three things, or networking and helping people out with connections.
Pretty much. But most of the time, like our team, we just focus on trading, because that's really, really what Binary Financial is all about, is just trading Bitcoin.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's fun. I mean, any given moment, it's like 5 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. I'm editing videos, or I'm doing, writing a story. Basically, I'm like, okay, who's up? It's like Asia's awake, and it's great. It's like a global family.
It never sleeps.
Right. Do you guys do derivatives trading? Or I know there's Hedgey, and they're
sure. So hedging is a form of. I mean, there's different ways to hedge, but typically when you're talking about derivatives, such as futures or options, for example, if I'm buying a Bitcoin, let's just say I want to buy one Bitcoin long, and the current price is $300, but I want to protect my downside from past 290, I can sell a futures contract for 290, so that I make sure that if it goes below 290, I'm covered even though I hold my Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then I know Asia, I mean, what was that? There was a story that in Hong Kong, somebody had actually enacted some margin call trading.
Yeah, so I think you're thinking about, so what happens is, so Bitfinex, actually I forgot to mention, is they're a great exchange as well. So Bitfinex did one of probably the most innovative things in the Bitcoin space, where they actually created a swaps market where you can actually borrow US dollars. So for example, if I'm trading US dollars and I don't have US dollars that I want to spend to trade, I can actually loan that out and collect interest. So that interest is actually paid by people that borrow your US dollar on Bitfinex to actually leverage up and trade. So typically, I think the US dollar margin ratio on Bitfinex is about 3 to 1. And then for Bitcoin, it's about 2.5 to 3 to 1. So for example, if I want to lend out Bitcoin and collect interest, you kind of create a market where when you lend out Bitcoin, you've created kind of a lending market. So that allows people to actually generate interest on their Bitcoin. But why it's important also is because there was no other way to actually legally or technically to short Bitcoin. So the definition of shorting a stock or commodity is that you borrow it, you sell it, and then you buy it back later when the price is lower.
Right.
So Bitfinex actually created a legitimate shorting market. So they were the first platform to actually do that. And they're one of the leaders in the trading volume right now. So what actually happens with margin calls is if there's a huge drop in price, the people that have long positions, those long positions are going to get wiped out. And the system will automatically offload and sell. And that creates a lot of selling pressure. So self-fulfilling prophecy, like selling generates more selling. So it causes the price. So margin trading does typically cause the price to go down. I mean, I can even tell you that the 472 spike that happened in China, that was caused by a huge short squeeze.
Right. No, I remember it vividly. So I guess the question is, so probably for Bitcoin, it makes more sense, at least in the meantime, to do derivatives trading versus margin
There's
trading?
no real derivatives trading right now except like the futures market. I mean, the futures market on OKCoin is huge because they give you like 20x leverage. But I highly advise against trading those futures unless you really, really know what you're doing. Most people that trade the futures, it's kind of like when you're trading Forex, they say, well, we give you 100 times leverage. Well, fine, if it moves one way, then you get it. But if it moves even a percentage the other way, you lose all your money.
Right.
So we don't advise people to really trade on those platforms or do those things unless you really know what you're doing. But the Bitfinex margin trading is okay, but you just have to be aware that margin trading, you're borrowing money, and if you lose that money, if the price moves against you, you get margin called and you end up having to sell your Bitcoin at a loss.
Right. No.
So it's important to know these things.
Yeah. No. So thanks for
Sure. I hope it was
explaining it.
I hope it wasn't too technical.
Hopefully it's helpful. I'm sure it is for people who are really, really serious about trading.
Sure.
So we heard a little while back you released a product called BTC01. What is that?
So BTC01 is it's actually a combination and amalgamation of a product idea that we've been kind of working on for a long time, and we were actually able to execute on this vision of the product actually exclusively because of BitGo. And BitGo is actually one of our most trusted partners. For those of you that don't know, BitGo is the leader and kind of the pioneer of the multi-sig technology. They have the best multi-sig wallet on the market. As an engineer, I evaluated a lot of different wallets. And the reason we chose BitGo was very, very simple. They're the only true multi-sig blockchain-based technology platform that you can actually use that allows you to do, multi-signature. I can delegate, transfer of funds to other people. I mean, it's a very, very flexible platform. They've got a great API. The support team's great. They have an amazing engineering team.
Right.
And it's because of this that we were actually able to launch the BTC01 product, which is specifically like a VIP concierge service for liquid. So for example, let's just say a family office, they want to put $5 million into Bitcoin, but they don't want to deal with the hassles of setting up the wallet. They don't want to deal with the custodian. They don't want to deal with the trading. They just want to be able to pick up the phone and have us deal with everything. That's pretty much what it is. It's more of like a bundled service product versus just buying Bitcoin itself. So sometimes people that just want to manage the wallets themselves and not deal with all the setup and all the headaches, they just care about getting the best price. And we trade with very, very small spreads and very, very low commissions. But some people, they really just don't want to deal with it. They just want it as an asset class. They want us to be responsible to manage it. That's really, really what BTC01 is designed for.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really nice thing, a full service.
It's a full service broker because a lot of people will just buy Bitcoin, but when they want to sell, okay, fine, I want to buy $2 million worth of Bitcoin. How do I sell $2 million worth of Bitcoin?
Right. How do you even do that?
So that's what we specialize in, is in the buying and the selling.
So you guys are the only ones doing that right now.
It's kind of a unique product offering that we developed specifically with BitGo, in partnership with BitGo.
It's exciting.
It is very exciting.
Yeah,
yes.
it's work like what you guys are doing, the products and services. It's really exciting to see all of the new technology, all the new services in the space, and all the really solid, incredible effort.
Oh, incredible innovations
in the space. So
I mean, we're just providing there's a huge demand for what we're actually offering. I mean, last year when we were talking to all the 5 major banks, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, UBS, Merrill, all of them have actually explained to us that they've had clients. Some have had 20 to 50% of the clients all ask about Bitcoin. How do they buy Bitcoin?
Really?
But they can't buy it through the banks.
Right.
So that's really, really where binary comes in.
The banks have been, we get feedback. People ask me all the time, what banks can I work with for Bitcoin companies? And I'm just like, it's
very, very tough. I think, and it's not like the banks are actually scared of Bitcoin. It's really, really just because there's been so much anti-money laundering in the news, the whole HSBC incident. And I think Bank of America, there's just all these issues that you see, JP Morgan, there's all these huge losses at banks. Banks just don't need another headache.
Right.
I mean, Bitcoin is a drop in the bucket for the banks.
Right. Well,
it's
interesting because everybody, it seems, especially with the news, Bitcoin is always being hacked and whatnot. But then you take a look and actually everybody's getting hacked right now.
Yeah, Bitcoin when people say Bitcoin got hacked, that's kind of
flawed.
It's a very, very flawed statement because Bitcoin itself isn't the thing that's getting hacked. It's the exchange.
Right.
Or it's the company that gets hacked. That would be like saying gold got hacked.
Or Home Depot got hacked.
Yeah, well, that's two totally different things. Or somebody hacked the US dollar. That's what you're basically saying when somebody hacked Bitcoin. The only way you can hack Bitcoin is if you break RSA encryption.
Right. And how difficult is that to do from somebody who
I think it's
CPA?
pretty much impossible right now. The only people that can probably break it is like the NSA, but I think their efforts are more focused on other things.
Right.
Right.
So what do you think about the bit license?
I think it's a good step in the right direction. I think Ben Lawsky, he's done a great job. I mean we're actually quite impressed with how the New York regulators have been dealing with everything because they've actually expressed that clearly they want some financial innovation to happen. They wanted to go to New York, and I think it makes sense. New York's a great place. We love being in New York, but it's a challenge because there's so much regulation now. The broker dealer license thing, everybody just being in New York, it's a real pain.
Well, it kind of, in some ways, it makes sense because New York has to lead the way. They're the financial
I
capital.
think so for the United States, and I think what the BIT license actually does really, really well. I think they're doing something better than the money transmission law license because the money transmission law license with foreign exchange, it's very, very
strict.
Very, very strict. Yeah. I mean, you have to buy surety bonds. I mean, we looked into doing that last year when we were initially going to do some stuff in New York. But I think the bit license clarity issue will actually make life much easier for entrepreneurs and startups.
Yeah, no, the transitional bit license is awesome. Thank you, Harry.
Oh, thank you, Tina, for having us on the show.
We'd love to have you on the show more regularly.
Sure. Well, I love to be on the show.
Yeah, we love Harry. Who doesn't love Harry?
You're so nice.
Awesome having you on the show. We're going to have you here all the time.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.